at sunrise, chanting, dancing to his name. Hari Bol, Hari Bol. He would wake up everyone, rise and rejoice to the name. Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, fourth verse, fourth chapter, and starting with 25 on. Translation: Out of compassion, the great sage thought it wise that this would enable men to achieve the ultimate goal of life, and thus he compiled the great historical narration called Mahabharata for women laborers and friends of the twice-born. Okay, and so we're going to read the purport here, and I'm just going to kind of go through it quick. Hey, John. Go through it fairly quick because there's a lot of details here, but the essence is important to know. So, purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada. Oh, it's bedtime for you. Okay. Well, tomorrow or something. So, the friends of the twice-born families are those who are born in families of Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, or the spiritually cultured families, who are themselves are not equal to the forefathers. Such descendants are not recognized as such, for want of purificatory achievements. The purificatory activities begin even before birth of a child, and the seed-giving reformatory process is called Garbhadana Samskara. One who has not undergone this Garbhadana Samskara, or spiritual family planning, is not accepted as being actually twice-born family. The Garbhadana Samskara is actually followed by other purificatory processes, out of which the sacred thread ceremony is one. So you can kind of see. Okay, good night, Tom. You can watch the replay if you like. Yeah, so you could see that in this age of Kali, people are not going to be doing this much. And so it's just. It's just some people have done this and tried to get purified by doing this kind of process, but it's not strong enough in this age. That's why the Lord came and gave another process. So we're going to go a little bit more here. I'm going to skip a little bit. So the less intelligent classes of men, namely women, Sudras, and unqualified sons of the higher castes, are devoid of the necessary qualifications to understand the purpose of the transcendental Vedas. And to clarify, that means we're all like that. Nobody on their own has the qualification nowadays, really, to understand the deep essence of the Vedas. Okay? For them, the Mahabharata was prepared. The purpose of Mahabharata is to administer the purpose of the Vedas, and therefore, within this Mahabharata is a summary Veda, the Bhagavad-Gita, is placed. The less intelligent are more interested in stories than in philosophy, and therefore the philosophy of the Vedas in the form of Bhagavad-Gita is spoken by Lord Krishna. Vyasadeva and Lord Krishna are both on the transcendental plane, and therefore collaborated for the good of the fallen souls of the age of this age. The Bhagavad-Gita is the essence of all Vedic knowledge and the first book of spiritual values, as the Upanishads are. There was something else there. So now what we see here, because of Lord Chaitanya's descent and our disciplic line as it is, really, in its real sense, so people are before Lord Chaitanya's descent and way back in bygone days, like 5,000 years and onward, they put a lot of emphasis on these special rituals of and purifications, so that one can become qualified to study the Vedas. But even if you're qualified to study the Vedas, still, even as a Brahmin, you still just usually have a superficial understanding of those Vedas. It's not very deep, because we can see that now. There are people that are more or less Brahmitically qualified, but they have just a certain level of understanding the Vedas from study of the Vedas. It's in the mode of goodness. Okay? But to really understand the Vedas and the essence of the Vedas, you have to have more qualification. Okay? And actually, Lord Chaitanya came to give that qualification. Okay? That qualification is Bhakti. Bhakti Lata Bij. In our disciplic line, if you find a bona fide spiritual master, and this Bhakti Lata Bij is being given, then it can give you the qualification to understand the essence of the Vedas. Because this Bhakti Lata Bij is the seed of devotion. And this seed of devotion you could say is given like from Prabhupada and Bhakti Siddhanta. They're giving the seed of this, but on a very preliminary scale, basically teaching about Krishna, teaching about these external bhakti and external weaker ceremonies, to get people gradually, to make some kind of progress on the path, to get some kind of purification, so they can understand the deeper and deeper philosophy and understanding, and basically understand why Lord Chaitanya has come here to this planet. Lord Chaitanya came to give the qualification to understand the essence of the Vedas. He came here to give the gift of spontaneous devotion, to give the gift of this bhakti that enables one to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra with transcendental taste. Because even a Brahmin, even liberated souls can't do that unless they have some special qualification. And so there's a story in Caitanya-caritāmṛta where Lord Chaitanya was in South India and he meets a Brahmin there, and this Brahmin was a liberated soul. He would chant the name Ram, Ram, Ram 24 hours a day, and he felt transcendental happiness from that. So he was liberated. And he studied the glories of the holy names. He knew the glories, or at least he read the glories of the Hare Krishna mantra as being the topmost mantra, even higher than the mantra he was chanting. But he said, I couldn't chant that mantra. He didn't have the taste to do it. He didn't have this special bij that comes from those who have a relationship with Krishna, because Krishna and his name are non-different. So when Krishna's not on the planet, we need to find those who have this experience of relationship with the Hare Krishna mantra. So when they chant Hare Krishna, you could see, this person has a relationship. They're ecstatic, just like the residents who saw Krishna became ecstatic with the symptoms of choking of the voice and crying loudly and laughing like mad women or mad men. Okay, so we now practically, because Krishna is unmanifest, if you want to be able to chant the Hare Krishna mantra in ecstasy, and you don't already, you need the association of those rare persons. Okay? That's why I don't see people, maybe you see how many people are seeing that chant with this kind of ecstasy in Vrindavan. Not just a few tears, but really drenching in tears and laughing like madmen and mad women and choking of the voice. Extraordinary, looking like they're haunted by transcendental ghost, the Holy Ghost type thing. And some Christians have some deep ecstasy similar to that also. So this is more or less external bhakti, chanting mantras before you conceiving a child, so that they can have some qualification to study the Vedas, because, they draw some good souls in there. But that ain't enough to really... The Lord Chaitanya came, he wanted to get people into the kingdom of God fast and not make it a mini lifetime experience, which people are generally teaching now, gurus and spiritual leaders teaching, go deep to Prema Bhakti, like get a Vrindavan. No, that's something... many lifetimes. Or they have a naive understanding, thinking, well, if I chant my 16 rounds, dry rounds, with no ecstasy, and just because I'm doing it, and I'm a disciple of Prabhupada, or a disciple of disciple of Prabhupada, and then I'm in the line and I'm going to get Goloka Vrindavan. Yet you see a resident of Goloka Vrindavan who comes chanting before you with ecstatic devotion, you're not interested. Well, you ain't going to Goloka Vrindavan. If you're not interested here, then you won't be interested there. You won't be qualified. That's why the Lord comes here. You need a living guru. If you don't chant the holy name in ecstatic devotion, you need a living guru in order to do it. I got to shut the window, otherwise that lady's going to go. Be right back. Don't go away. So, Lord Chaitanya started a living disciplic line, just like Jesus Christ started a living disciplic line. Okay? And Jesus Christ also said, he said, Peter, because of your faith, and that goes for all the apostles, because of their faith in the truth, faith in a living representative coming from the Lord to give the spirit of devotion, this bhakti, I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom. He gave the keys to the kingdom, which is this living spirit of devotion, pure devotion, awakening in those 11 persons at the time of the Pentecost. And that's what they transferred. That is what they set themselves apart from the Jewish community. It was not a philosophy per se that set them apart from the Jewish community. It was that ecstatic spirit. That same spirit Jesus Christ Lord Chaitanya came to bring, is that ecstatic spirit of worship. Okay? Worshipping the Lord in ecstasy. See, this is like Bhagavad-Gita 10:10. To those who worship me with loving ecstasy, I give them the understanding of how to come to me. That's the essence of the truth. That is the real path. You just go right there. And without that loving ecstasy, we're more or less misled. Or we're taking the long roads. You read these books and say, this is the way. We got to get good children. Okay, you'll get somewhat pretty good children, probably, maybe, who knows. In Kali Yuga, the influence of Kali is so strong. We need a stronger method. We need Lord Chaitanya's mercy, and that comes in the real line. When the Lord is ready to deliver us, he gives us a bona fide spiritual master who has that living current that he had also 500 years ago. And that current is transferred into disciples like it's being transferred here. And they can chant the Hare Krishna mantra with increasing ecstasy and being exorcised of all that false ego stuff in there, the demigod and the demon influences that we've been associating with. That's the only thing that'll exorcise that out of us. Exhort it out. See? And then the ecstasy increases more and more. That's the fast track. That's what the Lord Chaitanya... if anybody comes here, you'll learn the reason for the descent of Lord Chaitanya, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in this incarnation, and then you'll know, and you'll go straight to the goal. You'll attain the goal. You'll be the goal. You'll teach the goal. You'll relish the goal. And that's to chant the names of God in ecstatic devotion. There ain't anything better than that. There ain't anything higher than that. And those are the only real spiritual masters. I mean, we're talking the big leagues. You know how they have little league and the big league. This is the big leagues. Hey, anybody interested in Krishna consciousness out there? You want to enter the big leagues? You don't need big qualification, because the bigger your qualification here externally is, usually the bigger your false ego is. Don't we notice that? The ones that are being worshipped, to me, the real qualification, and to Krishna also makes more sense than that, is the real qualification is ecstatic worship of that holy name. Who's doing that is the more qualified, and the most qualified is the one to be listened to. They have the right understanding, like Bhagavad-Gita 10:10 says. Why listen to somebody else when that is the essence of the truth? It doesn't matter how big a Bhakti Shastra degrees you have on your wall, but if you don't understand and act according to Bhagavad-Gita 10:10, to look for the person who worships the Lord with unalloyed loving ecstasy and cries and laughs like madmen and women when they chant the holy name, your Bhakti Shastra is useless. You don't understand Bhagavad-Gita and the essence of it. Therefore, you have to listen to somebody who does. If you don't, well, then you're out there with the big false ego. You look at that Shastra there, Bhakti Shastra, and there's the big false ego stamped on it. See? But if you have a Bhakti Shastra on the wall, and you understand that principle, or when you hear it, you ask, oh wow, I didn't know that, thank God. Is there somebody like that in this world? Well, there are few here on this planet. Look for them. They're the real experts. Bhagavad-Gita says so. The Bible tells people so. Well, Bhagavad-Gita also tells people so. Where is the real path? It's right there, self-evident. So many verses. The real spiritual master is absorbed in the mellows of devotion. That's where the path is. People are blindly walking into these walls with the Bhakti Shastra. What is the difference? You got a wall there and you got the Bhakti Shastra on the wall. You're still walking in the wall if the person doesn't understand what we are hearing right here and now. Still walking in the wall. Doesn't matter how big that paper is. Usually the bigger the paper, the bigger the false ego and pride is. See? What is it Bhagavad Gita said? Those who understand the reason I come here, I descend to this world, do not take birth again. Well, now you need to know, we need to know the reason that Krishna descended and Lord Caitanya, especially Lord Caitanya. He came to give the easy route out of this. He came to give the spirit of devotion, this spontaneous love of God, spontaneous spark of love. And he's doing it now through the disciplic line. If you try to go to him directly, and if you tried for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and you're not chanting Hare Krishna in ecstasy, maybe you think you need a little help? That's because of maybe you think maybe you think you need a little help or what? Maybe somebody having an argument on it. Sometimes I don't know if they're attacking me because I've got a loud voice here. Are they just arguing out there? What?
That's nothing to do with us.
Oh, nothing with us. Okay, that's good. I don't want to step on anybody's toes too much. Yeah. See, so that's imperative to learn why Lord Chaitanya descended here. He descended to relish ecstatic devotion. See, chapter 4 of Adi Lila. he had two reasons to descend here. One was to taste this ras, this love of a gopi, love of his best gopi was Radharani, the conjugal mellow, and to distribute spontaneous devotion in one of the four rasas in Vrindavan. Okay? So you got to know that, because if you don't, you might be looking for some other reason that the Lord descended. That was the real reason. See? So why not get on that bandwagon? Why not get on that boat? You know, so all you have to do is you look, okay, well, where is somebody here now in 2020 relishing that kind of bhakti, tasting the nectar in the holy name of Krishna, the nectar in the holy name of the intimate pastimes of Krishna. You know, in 10th canto and Brihad Bhagavad-Gita, all these books of the Goswamis. Where are those kinds of persons? See, because that's the purpose Lord Chaitanya came here and did, and that's the purpose that those persons will be doing, following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya when it's ordered and when it's time to do that, and that time is now. It's time, because it's being done and it's been ordered, and those who are coming into this kind of association here are getting that ability. They're getting this Bhakti Lata Bij, and now they look at these books and they see the essence of Bhagavatam, essence of Bhagavad-Gita, because of that transcendental potency awakened inside. Okay? Only from the empowered devotees do you get this potency. And that's why everybody practically is beating around the bush. Beating around the bush because their teachers and gurus have not been authorized to give this, have not been empowered to give this to others. If they are, you got it, and you'll act accordingly. You'll chant the holy names in ecstasy, and you'll be able to awaken that in your disciples. If that's not happening, something's not quite in position. Maybe you're not in position, maybe your disciple's not quite in position for that yet. Just like I have students who don't have it quite yet like that, and I have some that do. See? But they're all in the process. At least some you can see have this transmission. See? And you can see that fructifying. It's not just in a seedling state, it's starting to, this ecstatic devotion start to fructify now. Okay, that's clear. Let's go to the next verse. Translation, O twice-born Brahman. Now this is Narada Muni speaking to Vedavyasa. They're having a conversation. So Vedavyasa is distraught. He says, oh, you know, I taught Mahabharata and I wrote the Vedas and all these things. They're basically external bhakti, varnashram dharma, and you know, that kind of thing. And he says, my heart's not satisfied. So Narada Muni, an ecstatic, qualified devotee, appears to help move him and his teaching to another level, so that people can move forward also. Okay? So, O twice-born Brahmins, still his mind was not satisfied. Although he engaged himself in working for the total welfare of the world. So his mind was not satisfied. He worked for the welfare of the world. Obviously for a time it was okay to do that, and it was necessary, but then there's some dissatisfaction there. And therefore the ecstatic guru came to teach him the next stage and next step. And we're working in the same kind of order. Very orderly this path is. Okay? So there are many devotees that are following this Varnashram Dharma system that Prabhupada taught. See? And they're getting to the stage where, like Vedavyas was, they're like, well, you know, is there something more than just external bhakti? I want to go a little deeper. I want to know really more of this, what's in these books. I want to feel what I'm reading. I want to feel ecstatic. I want the tears coming to my eyes. I want that ecstatic laughter because I'm reading about it, but I can't quite get it. See? That's why it's in the books. That's why they're there. So some people will come to the point of they're dissatisfied with just doing external bhakti. Isn't that what Ramananda Roy started his conversation with Lord Chaitanya in Madhya Lila, Caitanya-caritāmṛta? Is it Madhya or Ancha? One of those two Lilas. And Lord Chaitanya, he said, Varnashram Dharma, you should follow this system and achieve perfection like that. And Lord Chaitanya said, that's external devotion. Something more, something deeper. And you see, so we see the same thing here. Most of my students, they're coming from ISKCON right now, and they're coming. They've been doing Vaidhi Bhakti for 25 years, sometimes 40 years, sometimes 50 years, and in their heart they're ready to move deeper, move on, and Krishna has allowed them to understand what's going on here. If you're not dissatisfied with that external bhakti, and you still have faith in the mode of goodness, a lot of people do. They're just praising the mode of goodness, working really hard, doing sadhana bhakti without a lot of taste, but they're doing their duty, and it's good enough for them. Well, they'll continue on until they see there's some faults there. There's some faults in their teachers who cannot rise to the ecstatic platform. If you can't rise to the ecstatic platform on the level where you're starting to taste this transcendental ras, then you have to move on. You have to pray, to the Lord, like Lord, and the Lord knows our heart, and He'll maneuver you into a sangha like this, either in this life or another life, with these kinds of symptoms. You notice we're not interested, at least you see me, I'm not interested in putting on a show of wearing dress. You don't see any tilak, you see the neck beads, that's about it. You don't see a bead bag, you like to chant. Okay, but we're concerned about the deep, what's going under the hood of the car. You got the car, it looks really flashy. What if you got a sports car there and it's got a Volkswagen, one of those old Volkswagen engines? You ever see those cars out there? In America, they have these old, or a fancy car or an old car or something classic, and under the hood is this Volkswagen engine. It's not really the true thing. That's what we see in bhakti, in devotional service often. You see these fancy looking cars, bodies, or temples decorated gorgeously, looking nice with all the garlands wrapped around, looking like better than movie stars. Wow, that guru, man, he looks great. Look at that big temple. Wow. Look at that. Even the deities. Oh, that deity must be the best deity. It's huge. Right? Something like that. See, this is external. And it's not bad. It's just how the Lord attracts people that are attracted to opulence. So the Lord superimposes that for a while. But when you start to think, man, hey, wait a second here. On these books, there's devotees that looked really simple. They had simple names. They didn't necessarily his divine grace, blah, 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 Asatora, blah, 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 blah. Not to say that they're not qualified. They could be. But maybe it's just a little fluff added to the big titles. Could be like that. But then you see the highest devotees were sometimes just Krishna Das. Krishna Das. Hari Das. Thakur. Then they add the Thakur. He was just back then was Hari Das. Hari Das. Krishna Das. Most exalted. Because under the hood of those externally, they look like there's nothing under the hood. There's all this immense wealth. It's like Lord Chaitanya, he goes to Sridhar. He always liked to be around Sridhar. And Sridhar to the rest of the world, to worldly Vaishnavas, not worldly necessarily, but to Vaishnavas, say on the Vaidhi level, this Sridhar was just a poor person, man. He had holes in his cup, holes in his roof, tattered clothes. And he was working too. He was working and, doing stuff, working. But he had the real wealth. The real wealth, he chanted Hare Krishna in ecstasy. And the Lord noticed that, took note of that. Hey, you got to find. Hey, you want to know what the Lord really likes? Follow in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya. He hung out with Sridhar. He said, hey man, I'm going to hang out with this guy because under the hood is this ecstasy in his chanting, man. This is the best association I can find. And all these Brahmins and everything, oh, he's a poor boy, man. Look outside. Look what's outside on the hood, not under the hood. Look at the car. Look at the paint job. Paint job if it looks good, it must be an advanced devotee. Lord Chaitanya is looking under the hood, and hey man, look at that ecstasy. Look at how he chants. Look at those tears. I want to hang out with him. Hey, who's following in footsteps? Hey, you Vaishnavas out there, anybody understand? You got any ears? Can you hear? Is this true? Or are you following the opposite way? Are you looking what's on the outside? Are you looking at the paint job and not under the hood? Are these gurus, are your teachers, or are you a guru also? This is for you also. Are you a guru that under the hood is this potency of pure love of God? Because if it's not, and you're not chanting in ecstasy, you got to follow the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya and hang out with a person that might have tattered clothes, but under the hood he's chanting in ecstasy. Now, is this making sense to anybody? Are we worshiping a logical God or an illogical God? A smart God or a stupid one? He's smart. He's saying, hey, under the hood, that tattered guy with tattered clothes. Look at it. He's got the jewels. He's got the Shri, man. The Shri is that Bhakti. It makes him be able to relish the name Krishna. Therefore, I want his association. Anybody acting like that, now you're understanding the purpose for the descent of Lord Chaitanya. And you're acting in the real line. Otherwise, you're not quite in line, man. You're out of line. You want to get the Godhead back quick? You want to get back to Godhead quick? You got to hear teachings like this, which tell you the essence of the truth, and have your illusion busted, man. All these illusionists teaching you things that even from Prabhupada's books. You got to have that illusion busted. You got to meet somebody like the songbook teaches, man. You're singing that song every day for 40, 50 years. From them ecstatic Prema emanates. Well, that's a guy who chants the holy name of the Lord in ecstasy. By their word, ignorance and my stupidity is destroyed. See anybody around like that? You know how you know? Simple way, man. I think anybody can get this, man. If you've been singing that song for 40 years, and you haven't been looking for a devotee from ecstatic Prema emanates, and from them ignorance is destroyed, and all your stupid ways are destroyed. You've been acting and because teachers haven't been able to teach you the right thing yet. The real thing, the essence yet. People following gurus for 40, 50 years. Okay? And they never even thought to ask, is my guru, is he an ecstatic devotee? Does he have what Sridhar has and chants the holy name in ecstasy? Does he have what Haridas has and chants the holy name in ecstasy? Does he have what Madhavinda Puri has and chants the holy name in ecstasy? Nobody asked that question, and it's all over these books. Everywhere. The wives of Brahmins go to the cowherd boys who were ecstatic, intimate devotees, and these Brahmins wouldn't even go. They didn't even think to look. You follow Brahmins like that, you become of that mentality, you don't think to look. for the real qualification, where the real potency is in this world, man. Where is it manifest? And where is it busting the Maya, the illusion? I'm sorry, I get a little worked up here. I read these books. See, twice born, still his mind was not satisfied, although he engaged himself in working for the total welfare of all the people. There's something more he needed to know. It's not just good enough to be a good person and doing good deeds. Ask Sachi Devi. Ask Lalita Ganga. Ask Janaki. Sitting there serving for the welfare of everybody else. There's a point of dissatisfaction. Well, they got that. Now they're in line with Vedas. And then the Lord sent them isn't that interesting? Sent him an ecstatic chanter, Narada Muni, who was known to be out of his mind for God. Chanting and laughing and crying and all that good stuff, man. Sent him that kind of devotee to straighten everything out, sort it all out. We're getting close to the end of the chapter. Yeah, now, chapter 4, that was chapter 3, the end. I just got to get context. Chapter 4 now. Translation. The sage, thus the sage being dissatisfied in the heart. See? That's where the kind of persons we're looking for in Vaishnavism. Are you dissatisfied believing that Varnashram Dharma is Sanatana Dharma? You believe in books like that, written that Varnashram Dharma is Sanatana, is the eternal Dharma of the soul? Well, you're guaranteed to be dissatisfied because he was. Vedavyas himself, if he was thinking that was true, he would have been satisfied. In the eternal Dharma, no, that's just a mode of goodness. That's just a step in the right direction. Hey, Monica, thank you for coming. Thank you for appreciating our preaching too there. Okay? See, thus being satisfied in heart, at once he began to reflect, because he knew the essence of religion, and he said within himself, I have, under strict disciplinary vows, unpretentiously worshipped the Vedas. Whoa, yeah. Woo. Ooh, yes. Unpretentiously worship the Vedas, the spiritual masters and the altar of sacrifice. Unpretentiously is a key word. Those are the ones. If you're still a pretentious worshiper, you've got usually a longer way to go. But you got to be like the disciple of Jesus who came to Jesus and said, I want to follow you, Master. And Jesus said, why? He said, because I really want to feel God, man. I'm hungry for that. I want to feel those scriptures awaken in my heart. I want to feel those scriptures. See, that's unpretentious. And Jesus said, here's Nathaniel, a devotee without any guile. I think one of those guys, Simon or Nathaniel, somebody, person without any guile, unpretentiousness. See? And most people have some pretensions, but you want to get rid of them. Then the way to do it is to be in a sangha, sadhu sangha of devotees who worship the Lord because they are ecstatically attracted, man. And that's, they want to, they have that quality and that qualification. Very purifying. I have abided by the rulings and have shown the import of disciplic succession through the explanation of the Mahabharata. See the importance of disciplic line. Very important. It's important even when you're doing external bhakti. In the Varna ashram system, you work under a guru too. See, this Varna and ashram. See? So you have a guru, it's a disciplic line, a lineage. See? So, but if your guru is still not elevated to the platform beyond the mode of goodness, and they're just a Brahmin type guru, family type guru, then you need to move on and understand it's the same idea, disciplic line, but you need to move to the transcendental line. See? Because that is, you have to come in line with that transcendence. See, you have to receive those devotees coming here and teaching these more intricate principles. They teach you really the essence of Vedas and not just the external, superficial purport of the Vedas. If this were not so, if Prabhupada was teaching everybody everything, he would not have said that Caitanya-caritāmṛta is postgraduate and left that for us to teach. Didn't he say that? He said this is postgraduate. See? If he taught everything, well, it's everything is in the book, in these books, in that book. But somebody has to come and teach it. You need a person that's teaching that. And that's Shuddha Bhakti teaching. That is teaching what Lord Chaitanya came to teach and inspired people to teach to awaken spontaneous devotion quickly. Okay? The essence of all association. I'm probably not going to stay on that long if you want to go on. See? So, the rulings that I've shown of this imported disciplic succession through the explanation of the Mahabharata, by which even women, Sudras, and others, friends of the twice-born, can see the path of religion. See, can see the path of religion. If you look in Mahabharata and all of that, there's a lot of like rules, regulations, and moral principles, stuff like that. Okay? And then there's Bhagavad-Gita, which is the essence of that book. So purport. No one can understand the import of the Vedas without having undergone a strict disciplinary vow and disciplic succession. Okay? And the Vedas is spiritual masters in sacrificial fire. So see, Prabhupada is saying no one can understand the import of the Vedas. See, so Vedavyas was teaching that, still he was dissatisfied. So a person, even though Prabhupada's saying this, still you will be dissatisfied also. That'll only get you to a point of dissatisfaction. And then you got to move on deeper. My students, many coming here, they've studied Prabhupada's books 5 times. 5 readings. 4 readings. 5 readings. Because it's not enough just to do that. Vedavyas, Prabhupada is repeating here. You got to understand the import of the Vedas, but only to an extent. But need to go deeper, otherwise you'll be at the level of Vedavyas, at this point of being dissatisfied. You got to know some deeper stuff. The Vedas, spiritual masters in sacrificial fire, must be worshipped by desiring candidate. See, sacrificial fire, the fire, see, you throw the banana in there and all that. That's still external ritual. You need to find a Jesus Christ, man, in this world. A Lord Chaitanya or his representative in this world to start the sacrificial fire in your heart and burn up all that karma. Not the external thing only. There's a banana in the fire. It's symbolic, man. It's like the Jewish people used to do. There's symbolic burning of karma, burning this and burning that. It's religion still. John the Baptist, he said, hey man, there's somebody coming here who's going to baptize you with fire and the Holy Spirit. You need to meet somebody like that in some lifetime if you're a Vaishnava. That's what I see happening here. I see people baptized by fire in their hearts, burning up all kinds of stuff, and they get the spirit of devotion. Like Bhagavatam says, by regular classes in Bhagavatam and by service to the devotee, all that's troublesome to the heart is destroyed, almost till nil. And then this loving devotion to the Lord awakens as an irrevocable fact, and that is even faster now because that was a 5,000-year-old principle that took a lot longer than it does now, usually. Here, even before you get all that stuff almost destroyed to nil, you don't even get anywhere near that, and the Lord jumps and awakens in your heart as an irrevocable fact. Just ask many devotees here. This is the new thing that Lord Chaitanya came to bring. The quick awakening. He's not waiting for you to get everything destroyed in your heart by listening for years and years and 40, 50 years before he awakens in your heart. You just come here, man, and you hear this message, and you see the power of the message happening in the weaknesses. You develop a little faith in it. The Lord will awaken in your heart and show himself to you. And then he burns it up even faster here. That's my observation. I think it's an observation of many people coming here also. You see how quick it goes. See, so we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam in relation to the latest incarnation. This wasn't written 5,000. This was written 5,000 years ago, and Lord Chaitanya came to give even more mercy than Krishna gave, which he only gave to saints. He liberated them and also kept it amongst his worshippers of Vrindavan, mainly. He let Uddhava in Vrindavan, see, he was a saint. He let Akura into Vrindavan, he was a saint. But usually he couldn't get in there. Lord Chaitanya came to give this to the low-class persons. Okay. Oh, by the way, you can go and put those, Janaki, if you're watching, if those things are ready, just put them in the thing. I'm going to eat soon anyway. I'm working up an appetite. This is my third Harikatha today. So, all these intricacies of the Vedic knowledge are systematically presented in Mahabharata for the understanding of the women class, labor class, and unqualified members of the Brahmin, Kshatriya, and Vaishya families. In this age, the Mahabharata is more essential than the original Vedas. More essential. And of that, Bhagavad-Gita is the most essential. And then there's more essential things than that now because of the descent of Lord Chaitanya. We'll get to that. Next verse. I am feeling incomplete, although I am fully equipped with everything required by the Vedas. Now this is a very key thing here, so I'm going to read the word for word. Tatapi, although, bhata, defect, me, mine, daya, situated in the body. Ah, there she comes with all the goodies. It's Christmas. Every day is Christmas here. Never know what good thing she's making, man. He certainly, Atma, living being, cha, and, eva, even, atmana, myself, vibhu, sufficient, ashpana, wanting in, ivabhati, it appears to be, Brahma Varchaisya of the Vedantas, Satma, supreme. Okay, so anyway, in the translation it says, I am feeling incomplete, although I myself am fully equipped with everything required by the Vedas. So, even on as a liberated soul, there's still incompleteness. See, like if the Vedas may lift you up to the level of being a Brahmin or even Brahman, okay? But still, inside, there's a code that's still incomplete. We're incomplete in our realization. See? So the whole world is doing that. We're all looking for completion. So like the Upanishads, in Prabhupada's Upanishads translation, he said, from that complete whole, many complete holes are emanating. See? From that complete whole, many complete holes are emanating. But you stand as always the complete balance. See? The Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the complete balance. See? So everybody's looking for that completion in the world even. That's why the man looks for completion in the woman, and the woman looks for completion in the man. But you see, there's some fault in that. It's never perfect. There's always some fault in that kind of completion. Even though it's still natural, because we're in the body and, there's that there. It's not perfect completion. Okay? Some people think, if I get this opulence, if I get this boat, if I get this money and wealth, or I get this position, I'll feel complete. I'll be completely happy. And they find it's never like that. You get $1 million, you get attached to that, you want another million. And another, and another. Never satisfied. See? So Vedavyas, he was feeling incomplete, even though he taught Varnashram Dharma, writing all these books about Varnashram Dharma, and also liberation, got into the topics of liberation. He still feel incomplete. That's why even people they're praising liberation as the highest thing, eventually they'll see, I still feel incomplete. Eventually, may this whole lifetime, they'll die in that liberation. They'll be into that liberation thing for maybe millions of years. Or come in the next life and work more on liberation to find completion. Thinking in error, that is the supreme completion. No. So I'll just tell you right now, and just what Narada Muni said. No, the supreme completion is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, man. Okay? Supreme Personality of Godhead. Find your completion in Krishna, in a incarnation. Find your completion in His personality. Find your completion in His qualities. Find your completion in chanting His name. Or any name of God. Okay? And how you know? Because you become so ecstatic. More ecstatic than Brahman level realization. You look at a person relishing the holy name in ecstasy, and you look at a person relishing the Brahman level of meditation, and you'll see there's more ecstatic countenance on the one relishing the ecstasy in the holy name and pastimes and qualities of the Lord. Matter of fact, you'll see the realization is deeper. You compare the realization of a Brahman realized person who's trying to find completion in Brahman, their realization is dwarfed by the person who is relishing the personality of Godhead. Because it's the supreme truth, absolute truth on the deepest level. That Sat Chidananda form. Translation. This may be because I did not specifically point out the devotional service of the Lord, which is both dear to perfect beings and infallible Lord. See? Perfect beings. Now, one person might say devotional service on Vaidhi level and the Raganuga spontaneous devotional service is included. And that's sort of true, but what devotional service is he talking about here? Well, that you have to look at the verse. It's dear to perfect beings and the infallible Lord. Well, Vaidhi Bhakti is not really dear to the Lord, and it's not dear to the highest level devotees. What is dear is spontaneous devotional service. That's what the Lord came to teach and relish. So not everybody is qualified to do this spontaneous devotional service, therefore they teach Vaidhi Bhakti to draw the living beings into devotional service according to practice. And therefore the Lord sends even qualified persons, sometimes come as illustrious sannyasis, with really nice flowing dhotis, and perfect tilak, and following the rules and regulations so nicely. They may be qualified with the ecstasy, but to draw them first to, these persons look better than movie stars, let's follow the path of devotional service. See? But it's in practice. See? We're here to teach what's dear to perfect beings and the infallible Lord, this ecstatic devotional service. See, so this may be because I did not specifically point out the devotional service of the Lord. So let's add, because it's proper, so that people know that this, I did not point out the pure devotional service of the Lord. See, point it out. See, extol it, glorify it. So, word for word, Kim va or Bhagavata Dharma. See, the Dharma, Bhagavat Dharma, the eternal Dharma of the soul is pure devotional service. It just needs to be awakened in us. See? And when the order comes by the Lord in our line from Lord Chaitanya, and the order comes, it very easily awakens in the souls. See? And one is engaged on that path. By the path of taste, the path of Prema. See? Devotional activities of the living being. See, when you hear, you chant, and you hear, chant, and remember about the Lord, you do it with taste. See, it's like, yeah, I like doing this, man. Wow, it's so nice to chant Hare Krishna. Oh, it's so nice to sing in Kirtan. Oh, it's so nice to talk about Krishna and pure devotional conceptions as they are. It's so nice to hear pure devotional conceptions as they are. Wow, to hear this kind of glorification. Now I understand the heart of Prabhupada's books. And this is so great. See? Now you're like Arjuna. Oh, Krishna, my ears are like tongues, and I just love to hear you speak that transcendental vibration of the clear, absolute, clear, concise conception of the absolute truth. See, he's doing devotional service about that. When you find a devotee like that, Krishna's inside them, speaking through them. And you will also feel like Arjuna, wow, I love hearing from my Gurudev. It is the essence of truth. It's clearing me of so much ignorance. Wow, I'm also becoming attracted to chanting. This is so nice. I'm becoming an insider and not an outsider. Certainly Achyuta, the infallible, Priya, attractive. The attractive. Okay, I got to stop here now. So I'll let somebody take over. Thank you very much for coming, everybody. Hare Krishna.